The biting New York wind was a familiar, unwelcome companion. For 17-year-old Ethan, home was a stretch of cardboard tucked into a quiet alleyway off Lexington Avenue. While the city slept, his day was just beginning. He would find a street lamp, one that cast a steady golden glow onto the pavement. This was his study, his sanctuary. He pulled a battered calculus textbook from his worn rucksack, its pages filled with notes he had scribbled in the margins. He had to learn, he had to escape. It was a promise he made to himself every single night, under the hum of the city lights. Surviving was a full-time job with terrible pay. During the day, Ethan became a ghost in the bustling metropolis, always moving, always looking for an opportunity. He'd offer to carry heavy shopping for a few dollars or help unload delivery lorries for restaurant owners who didn't ask too many questions. He learned to read people's faces, to know who might offer a bit of kindness and who would simply shoo him away like a pigeon. Every coin he earned was carefully budgeted: a hot meal, a new pen, or on a good day, an hour in a warm internet cafe to do his homework. His world was a stark contrast of hardship and fierce determination. Hunger was a constant ache in his stomach, a dull throb that made it hard to concentrate on complex equations. The cold seeped into his bones, making his fingers stiff as he tried to write. Sometimes the sheer exhaustion was overwhelming, and the temptation to just give up, to let the city swallow him whole, was immense. Yet, every time that feeling crept in, he would picture a different life. He imagined a warm room, a proper desk, and a future where he didn't have to worry about where his next meal was coming from. One of his small havens was the New York Public Library. Mrs. Gable, a librarian with kind eyes and a knowing smile, never questioned why he spent hours there until closing time. She would often leave a spare newspaper on a table near him, or accidentally forget a sandwich in a brown paper bag. "Big day of studying, Ethan?" she'd ask, her voice gentle. "You've got a good head on your shoulders, don't you ever forget that." Her simple words were like fuel, pushing him to keep going, to believe that someone, somewhere, saw him as more than just another lost boy on the streets. The city could be cruel, but it could also be a place of unexpected connections. Ethan's resourcefulness led him to a small, family-run grocery shop owned by a man named Mr. Chen. He noticed Ethan one afternoon, meticulously organizing the loose fruit that had rolled away from the outdoor display. Instead of chasing him off, Mr. Chen offered him a job sweeping the pavement and stocking shelves for a few hours each evening. "You work hard," Mr. Chen said, his English accented but his tone sincere. "A person who works hard deserves a chance. You eat tonight. My wife made extra." This small act of trust was a turning point. For the first time in a long time, Ethan had a routine, a small but steady source of income, and a warm meal he could count on. Mr. Chen became a quiet mentor, sharing stories of his own struggles when he first arrived in America. He never pitied Ethan. Instead, he treated him with respect, asking about his studies and encouraging his dreams. "Knowledge," Mr. Chen would say, tapping his temple, "is the one thing they can never take from you. You hold on to that. It is your real treasure." One particularly cold evening, while working in the back of the shop, Ethan overheard Mr. Chen struggling with his inventory system. The paperwork was a mess, and he was constantly over or under ordering stock, losing money in the process. An idea sparked in Ethan's mind. Using his time at the library's computers, he started designing a simple, user-friendly software program to track inventory. He used everything he had taught himself about coding and logic, pouring all his focus into creating a solution. It wasn't just about code, it was about solving a real-world problem for someone who had shown him kindness. A few weeks later, he nervously presented his creation to Mr. Chen on a second-hand laptop he'd bought with his savings. "Mr. Chen, I think this could help," he said, his voice trembling slightly. He demonstrated how the system could track sales, predict stock needs, and simplify ordering. Mr. Chen watched, his eyes wide with amazement. He saw not just a clever program, but the incredible potential in the young man standing before him. "Ethan," he said slowly, "this is more than just good. This is brilliant. You have a gift, my boy, a real gift." Mr. Chen's validation was the spark that lit the fire. He not only used Ethan's software in his shop, but also invested a small amount of his own savings to help Ethan develop it further. He connected him with a friend who ran a small tech incubator, a shared workspace for aspiring entrepreneurs. Suddenly, Ethan had a desk, a reliable computer, and a community of people who spoke his language, the language of innovation and problem-solving. He was no longer the boy in the alley. He was a founder, a creator, with a mission to help small businesses like Mr. Chen's thrive. The years that followed were a blur of relentless work. Ethan poured every ounce of his energy into his startup, which he named Connect Flow. He lived and breathed his work, often sleeping on a sofa in the office, a choice born not of necessity this time, but of passion. He remembered the gnawing hunger and the biting cold, and he channeled those memories into an unbreakable work ethic. While others his age were out socializing, Ethan was refining code, pitching to investors, and learning the intricate dance of running a business. He faced rejection and doubt, but he never forgot Mr. Chen's belief in him. Connect Flow was designed to be simple, affordable, and powerful. It helped small business owners across America manage their inventory, connect with suppliers, and compete with larger corporations. It was a tool built from a place of genuine empathy, born from watching Mr. Chen's daily struggles. The company grew slowly at first, then exponentially, as word spread about this intuitive software that was leveling the playing field for the little guy. Ethan's story became part of the company's identity, inspiring both his team and his clients. He was living proof that a good idea and hard work could change everything. He never lost sight of his past. As the company became successful, Ethan made sure its mission went beyond profit. He established a foundation linked to Connect Flow, dedicated to providing educational resources and mentorship for at-risk and homeless youth. He wanted to give others the same kind of chance that Mrs. Gable and Mr. Chen had given him. He knew that talent was everywhere, but opportunity was not. His goal was to build bridges over the gaps he had been forced to cross alone, ensuring others had a smoother path to follow. 20 years later, Ethan stood on the same street corner where he used to huddle for warmth. He was no longer a boy in tattered clothes, but a man in a well-tailored suit. The city's skyline had changed, but the alleyway was still there, a dark slice between two towering buildings. He could almost feel the phantom chill of the concrete through the soles of his expensive leather shoes. He wasn't here for a business meeting or a fancy dinner. He was here to remember, to connect with the determined, frightened boy who once called this unforgiving pavement his home. As he stood there, lost in thought, a limousine pulled up to the curb. His driver, a kind man named David, looked at him with a puzzled expression. "Everything all right, Mr. Hayes?" he asked. Ethan simply nodded, a faint smile on his face. "Everything is perfect, David. Just remembering the way." He looked at the street lamp, the same one that had served as his reading light, and felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over him. It was a symbol of his journey, a beacon that had guided him through his darkest nights. He had not just survived, he had built a new world for himself. His reflection in a shop window showed a man he barely recognized, but deep inside he was still that kid with a calculus book and a fierce will to succeed. He had achieved more than he had ever dared to dream. Connect Flow was now a household name, empowering thousands of small businesses. But for Ethan, the real success was not the money or the fame. It was the ability to make a difference, to ensure that other young people with brilliant minds and difficult circumstances would have the support they needed to shine. He took a final look at the alley, a silent promise passing between his present self and his past. His journey was not just about escaping homelessness. It was about using his experience to light the way for others. He got back into the car, his mind already buzzing with ideas for his foundation. The boy from the alley was gone, but his spirit lived on in the mission of the CEO. He had come full circle, not to gloat, but to give back, proving that the brightest futures can emerge from the darkest of beginnings.